What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Obscura Undead.
Your weekly source of music reviews, where we review new albums that have just been released and, maybe a couple that are a week old, but we can guarantee you they're the freshest. I'm Azzy.
And I'm Mouse.
And let's get into it. And then we have the title card.
So this week we will be reviewing 4 albums. She Passed Away,
Disko Anksiyete,
Linea Aspera,
Preservation Bias, Crystal Soda Cream,
called Things Don't Talk, and Angels of Liberty,
Servant of the Grail.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Oh, so good. I can't even wait. I'm just going to say right now, all of these releases were very good, so
yeah,
I'm
all
really
of these
looking
were
forward.
my favorite.
All of these were the best.
All of these were the best. All right, so should we start with She Passed Away?
I guess so.
Where to start with this album? Please hold. So She Passed Away. Disko Anksiyete. This album came out on, June 11th-ish?
I thought it was much earlier than that. Because remember, it was supposed
May
to come out in
31st.
July, so it came out in May.
That's right, May 31st. It came out
so
early.
There may be people who do not know what She Passed Away is, and I think that's probably unusual. But just to introduce them, they are a duo out of Turkey, and they've been around since 2012.
Something like that.
Their first album came out in 2012, and then their first album was called Berlidi Gaze, and then their second album, which we can't pronounce,
Narnyalsnizik.
came out around 2015.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago.
And now we are graced with their third release, Disko Anksiyete, and
on Fabrica Records.
And you can get it on Metropolis Records in the States.
Yes.
So right now the digital is out. You can listen to it right now on Bandcamp and Spotify. And there's a vinyl that's coming, probably in July sometime.
Yeah, you haven't gotten yours?
No.
Have any of them been sent out?
No.
Damn. I got the violet.
Of course I got the violet.
Okay, we're going to be twinsies. Right on. And if you're wondering what She Passed Away sounds like, in case you're the weirdo that Mouse identified.
Under a rock.
Under a rock.
Well, no, I'm just teasing.
They're pretty big. I think that they might be one of the biggest bands that we have right now.
I believe that they're one of the fastest rising.
Yeah.
Fastest rising. I've looked at their view counts on Spotify and everything, and they're just jumping by leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm. They have a lot of cross-audience appeal, so it's not just goths, which we're a pretty small crowd. Someone told me that they have a lot of appeal with the metalheads, which it kind of surprises me because they have this avant-garde, post-punk, proto-EBM sound. So, but yeah. And I think that Disko Anksiyete was their most She Passed Away sounding album, which is a really weird thing to say.
What does that even mean?
I think that a lot of the elements that we heard outside of their really strong sort of post-punk guitar and bass line that they sort of hinted at with undertones of that proto-EBM and kind of synth poppy sounds, I feel as though those really came to the fore on Disko Anksiyete, especially in the first half of the album. You have a lot more forefronted use of synths than what I would expect on the previous albums. And
yes. I felt that same way as well. There were a lot of elements of that new wave in it, which of course they are inspired by, but that was a lot more prevalent in this album. If you listen to a lot of the songs, you'll hear that those 80s-esque tings in the back. I don't even know what they're
tings.
called. There's just there's an 80s kick that's added to everything, a new wave kick, and they made sure to include that in there.
Yeah, so they really ramped that up.
So it's almost like a perfect retro wave kind of album. It's not actually in the retro wave genre, but every single song was still steeped with 80s inspiration.
Mm-hmm. And they're so danceable, even though you have Vulcan's like really deep, sort of like slow vocals like over it. They're still super dancey. And then as you got towards the end of the album, we started to hear more of, you know, like the old school, if you can call it old school even for a band, you know, that only has 3 releases, but more of the known She Passed Away sound where it really highlights the guitar and the bass.
Yeah, and likewise, if you haven't heard their releases before, we strongly recommend those previous 2 albums because this is almost like a different direction.
Yeah, and I think that the feel of the album really ties into the title of it, which was Disko Anksiyete, and I guess Anksiyete means angst, and of course Disko means...
Well, I looked it up again.
Was it anxiety?
And it is anxiety. It's like dance floor anxiety. Disco like a discotheque.
Yeah.
So like nightclub dance floor anxiety.
Okay. Well, I felt like the synths really captured that sort of like claustrophobia and anxiety like really, really well.
And so did the music video for that song.
Yeah, it didn't hurt, you know, it didn't hurt ingraining that. And then when it got towards their more classic post-punk sound, I really did feel like that was specifically intended to be sort of this like cathartic loneliness after being on the dance floor. And then I went and I looked up the lyrics and translated them from Turkish, and sure enough, I mean, and that's a big thing with She Passed Away, is their lyrics are intended to be poetry.
Yes, yeah. It's Turkish poetry, pretty much.
And I don't like to resort to saying feelings about music necessarily, but it did really feel like a cathartic loneliness in the more like stark guitars without the backing sort of like wall of synth.
I agree.
And that was really nice.
I do want to mention that by far favorite 2 tracks on the album, and you'll probably agree, track 2 and 3, which is Dur Du Dunya, track 2, and Disko Anksiyete, track 3. At first I thought Dur Du Dunya was the best, and then when that video came out and you're listening to the song for Disko Anksiyete while you're watching the video, and it's just like, this is hot. So now track 3 is now my favorite.
I really liked Isoda. I'm terrible at this.
Yeah.
Because I really loved the like mid-song sort of like twangy breakdown. I like just the overall composition of the song. Every song on the album is fantastic. But I like that there's a lot of variety in composition.
I did hear in those middle songs this kind of like twanginess, almost...
It's like thready guitar kind of.
Western influence. I'm not sure I enjoyed that as much. So like I would listen to them and enjoy them, but then I would move on to other songs.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, there was La Maldad. So La Maldad is their only song in Spanish. It's the only song that they've ever done, I think, in not Turkish. And I imagine that it's a tribute to the fact that the band is based partially in Barcelona. And it's weird. It has this weird guitar riff. It's not just weird.
I strongly dislike this song.
I don't dislike it. It's growing on me, but it is weird.
Okay.
Like,
so
the
it
guitar
sounds
riff
like
is so strange.
It sounds like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon
is
happening.
Does.
It's like the I don't want to hear that when she passed away.
I'm willing to bet, that it is a tribute to like that, like a local sound. That has to be what it is. I don't know the music from Barcelona.
I'm sure there's an explanation. It just it doesn't even fit to me.
It's
with the
weird
lyrics
on the album.
So La Maldad means, you know, evil or wickedness, and then you read the lyrics and it's all about like this evil that crawls in through his window and takes him over, and
maybe
the way
it's
he
that
feels
evil
in the
that
morning.
makes him play the weird song.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to need a music video for this in order for it to be explained to me. But I just do not understand why this song is on the album. It breaks it into 2 halves.
It does.
For me.
It does.
And you know, like you said, all of their lyrics and all of their albums have always been in Turkish. And then you have this one song, track 5, that's in Spanish. And it sounds strange. And
it's not strange in that it's not what we expect from She Passed Away. It's not what we would even expect from like that genre. It's strange. Go listen to it. Tell us what you think on the guitar. It's weird.
I recommend to just avoid it. Just skip over it.
Don't. I actually have, like, that song has grown on me.
No!
The weirdness of it has grown on me. Yeah. But I think that my two favorite tracks are definitely Isode,
After you get
and Disko Anksiyete.
After you get to the second half of the album, after La Maldad, you've got Renxes and Gerdap. Both of those are very great.
Good tracks.
Really great, like,
Good tracks.
mellow. You've got, like, exactly what you were saying, like the coordination of the guitar and the synths and the bass all together, and it's just beautiful. And then your last couple of tracks, Yoxeliar Denise and Ajit, both were much slower and
Ajit
more
was
mellow
so good.
and beautiful.
Oh, and Excelliar Denise, like...
But,
God, that one's beautiful. Like, I hate to say it, but I think that this might be my favorite She Passed Away release.
Wow. I think it's still growing on me. I think it needs to take more listens, but Berlidi Gaze is still number one for me.
See, before that, I actually like Naran Yalznik before, like, their second album over their first album.
We should have a talk about these albums side by side, because, I mean, even if
we
you think
should.
about the hits and what album they appear on, I kind of mix them up because I keep them both together.
Well, they sold them both together, so...
No, only as the re-release.
Yeah.
But if you had them in 2013 and 2015 when they were released...
And that's kind of why I like the third album. It's because with the first two releases, I find that it's easy to get them kind of mixed up because they sound similar.
Yeah, they do. They do sound similar. It was a consistent sound from the band, and it's almost like one giant album.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I get them confused a lot.
Okay,
because
so
of that.
I can see that. I can see how this is definitely a progression, and it's a nice one.
It is. Cool. Let's talk about Linea Aspera next.
Linea.
So they didn't release. Dark Entries Records released in honor of their 10th year anniversary, the label, released Preservation Bias, which is a compilation of 3 or 4 EPs and singles put out by Linea Aspera, who they were most active around like 2012-ish. They had like 2 years that they were really active before they just sort of dropped off the radar. And during that time, they, what is the song that everyone really loves? Synapse?
Synapse and Malarone. And then Attica, which is actually on this release, was released in 2013. The compilation is called And You Will Find Them in the Basement.
Oh, yeah.
That came out on Desire Records in 2013. So that song, Attica, has been remastered and is now on this new release, Preservation Bias. And, I mean, let's see. Preservation Bias features all 3 songs from the Limited 2 Tour Cassette EP, 4 songs from the 2012 self-titled Limited Cassette EP. And then it has Attica.
So they were a pretty short-lived duo. So Linea Aspera, they're a London-based band. They are sort of this dark wave duo. I don't know, maybe minimal
Synth, minimal
kind
wave.
Of. They include also some industrial sounds, I think, in their music. Just in terms of just like beats and stuff like that. But it is the duo project of Allison, what was her last name? Allison Lewis and Ryan Ambridge.
Yep.
Yeah. And overall, I liked the album, but I gotta say, like, the 4-minute breaks where it's just like noise.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, exactly. The 2 tracks I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Of the 8.
So Preservation Bias has how many tracks? Like
8.
7? Okay, 7 or 8 tracks. By the way, you have to read Caroline Sometimes' review of it on our website, Obscura Undead. So you got 8 tracks. The first one is pretty, and it's just kind of an intro. Second one is Attica, which is amazing.
I like the remaster. Very much.
I do like the remaster, and then she was saying to go listen to them side by side because there's probably barely a difference. And now I'm confused, and I'm not sure if there even is a difference.
I think that there is a difference because this sounds crisper.
I thought it sounded crisper, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I was listening on my, like, over-the-ear headphones, so...
Not sure. Okay, so let's talk about Kinbaloo. Kinbaloo.
God, the last 4.5 minutes.
So Kinbaloo is 7.5 minutes long. 2 minutes of it is music.
And then the rest of it is noise.
Yeah. The rest of it is, let's play with knobs. So that's great. I love when a band can, like, play live and they're playing with knobs and they have experimental sounds and everything. but
sometimes you feel like you're having a stroke.
Don't put it on track 3. Don't put it on track 3. So that is actually Dark Entry's fault. They did that.
So you would rather have had that at the very end.
It needs to be at the end. People, come on. I mean, I feel like when people put these compilations together, they're like, this song is good and that song is good, but they don't think about a listener. They don't think about what a listener is doing or has to go through, and that they have to. They're enjoying an album for 30 minutes. If I was cleaning my house and listening to music, which I don't actually recommend you do because you can have accidents, but
so when Courtney's cleaning your house,
you hear something that you're just like, okay, I gotta skip through this. I have to stop what I'm doing and switch the song.
I felt like that when I was driving. I threw it on for the first time while I was driving, and like all of a sudden, just like, is this song like skipping? Like digital can't do that.
So then you have this track right after it called Detachments, and they left did you hear like the 1 second of glitch at the very beginning? Mm-hmm. Almost as if it was a continuation of the last song. Then there's another couple of minutes of really energetic synth, driven song, and it's pretty fun. 2.5 minutes long. So then you're like, okay, back to the 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes of a good song. There's another great song on there. Vultures is a great song.
Vultures was so good.
That's almost skipping to the very end.
I think that is the very end.
And
I think Vultures is the last song.
And that's what throws me off, is because Antipodium Tedium is very good. Also, really nice pace.
Syncretism was one of my favorites.
Syncretism was a really wonderful track. But I didn't like it as much as Antipodium Tedium. Royal Straight is another instrumental that's experimental instrumental. And then when you get to the end, you have Vultures, which is that really great track as well. Great synth lines.
See, I would have loved to have Vultures in the middle of the album.
Vultures should have been in the middle. So if you switch Vultures and Kimbaloo, the album would be much better.
Or Vultures and then, have Antipodium and then Syncretism and then
all the
Kimbaloo
instrumental.
And then Royal Straight. Yeah, there could have been a little bit of flow. Maybe it flows chronologically. I didn't actually look at it in that much detail.
Who wants to listen to a chronological release?
Some people do.
Somebody, somewhere in their living room says, I would love to hear these in order.
Yeah, all right. Well, at least with the next album we're going to talk about, Crystal Soda Cream's Things Don't Talk. This album was much better put together. If anything, I would actually say that Crystal Soda Cream, the album, was absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change a
Soda
fucking
Cream
thing.
was a lot of fun. I like their name. I wouldn't say perfect. I'm not going to do good cop, bad cop, but I like their previous album better, and I thought they would give us more of that. It's almost the opposite of what happened with She Passed Away. So
just to give some background on the album. It was released on June 25th on Wilhelm Show Me the Major Records.
Yeah!
And they're a band from Vienna.
Austria.
Yeah. And that consists of Teresa Adamski, Philip Fartha...
We don't need to say their last names.
Sebastian. And this is their third album in over the course of 7 years. So they don't release super frequent. Not like Dancing Flag.
It's only 4-song EP.
Fine.
It's all right.
But I guess you liked their second album better?
I did. Their last album was called Work and Velocity, and those albums incorporated the post-punk sound, and
so did this one.
And had synths woven into it that were strong and dominant. And I liked that.
See, I love that this one had like a really powerful drum and like the deep bass.
It's just melodic. It's a different
guitar.
type of take on it, and
the punky vocals.
The punky vocals
were so great. See, this album reminded me so much of everything that I love about 13th Chime.
I was gonna say, which Cure album does it remind you of?
Neither.
Are you serious?
Oh wait, neither. There are more
I knew it. Okay,
none.
So listen.
It doesn't remind me of The Cure.
I think it reminds me of both Head in the Door and Faith because of the drums.
See, it made me think of, just in terms of how it's composed, it made me think of 13th Chime and everything I love about 13th Chime.
So I heard you mention the drums, and that was one thing that, like, once I realized they were there, and they're not like your typical band drums. They're great drums. They're like those heavy like early 80s drums.
Yeah.
And that's what reminded me of
the very
like
post-punk drums. Yeah.
The old Cure sound.
Beverage. See, I did not get any Cure vibes off of it.
I felt like it was gonna go
if you
right
need to
into
have everything go back to
and
the
only
Cure,
tonight
that's fine.
Wait, and only tonight we can sleep. I don't remember. Anyway, Cure songs.
But
so my my first thought was they have two different kinds of tempos that they do.
Mm-hmm.
They have a little bit faster paced, those punky vocal kind of things, and then they have some slower, more laid back post-punk vibes, and I really loved those slower ones a little bit more.
That's
I felt like they were
for you
really
to say.
great at that. It just has to click. It just has to be just right. So it doesn't always have to be energetic, but for me, I like that slower pace more than the super fast punky pace.
See, I loved all of
Punky
it.
pace, yeah. So they had this song called Alles wird gut, which was the first song in order that was in German language, or maybe Austrian language. I don't know if
they
that's
speak
the same.
German.
Okay.
Yeah, they speak a form of German.
And that was just beautiful. And I was like, wow,
was a
okay,
great track.
they're really good at this. And so then every time that they went back to it, because the songs would alternate pretty much, every time they went back to the slow, it just sounded so refreshing.
Mm-hmm. See, I liked it. This album I thought had really good flow. Like, really good flow.
See, an album like this, it's not bad to have different paces going back and forth. It didn't work for Linea Aspera, the order that they had the songs in, but it really worked for this album.
Yeah. I really liked A Drill, the track that they have the music video out for.
Are we going to watch it? Maybe another week?
Maybe another week.
Okay.
I also really liked Seesaw Life. I had a really hard time picking my two favorite tracks.
Seesaw Life? I liked...
I love the entire album.
To Your Arms. Dark, moody, mellow, old, like 1981 Cure is what that sounded like. And then they had a song about twins.
Oh,
Roy Gala twins.
Yeah. Towards the end of the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. So it was a great effort all the way through, and I probably would love it more with more listens.
Oh, see, I listened to out of all of the albums. Well, okay. Out of all the albums this week that aren't She Passed Away, this is the one I listened to the most. I think I've listened to it like 10 or 15 times. I've listened to it a lot.
I probably listened to it about 4 times.
Oh. Oh.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's because I was listening to the next album.
The next album, Angels of Liberty, Servant of the Grail. So this is okay. So this album was released on June 29th on Secret Sin Records. Secret Sin Records is Angels of Liberty's self-release label, and it has been resurrected specifically for this release. So a couple years back, the singer of the band, Vo St. Clair, died.
Rest in peace, Vo.
Rest in peace, Vo. And they were working, Vo and Scarlett Powers, his wife and bandmate, they were working on an album. They had released the teaser track Inanna for it, but then Vo passed and we never got the album. So, sad. Again, rip Vo. But this album is that album. It has been reclaimed, I don't know the word for it, and mastered.
Revived.
As the first release on Secret Sin Records. And they have a couple of other bands. They have Last Dusk and None.
N-U-N?
N-U-N. What is this? Nothing. God, I'm trying to remember what None stands for.
You could just say none.
None. Yeah. Anyway. So, this is SSR's 01, the first album, and it's fantastic.
And this is probably the best thing for me that Angels of Liberty has put out. And it was so epic and so amazing and so sad because that's it.
Yeah, this is it. This is not a comeback of Angels of Liberty. This is the last
This is
thing.
a posthumous release.
Yep.
This is it.
Yep.
So, Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So
There's so much to say.
Usually intros on albums are a glorious waste of time. I skip them. Sometimes I listen to them and I just spend 2.5 minutes being very annoyed. This album, though, has an intro called Kumri. It sets the stage. It's so, like...
It has that Middle Eastern, like, Dead Can Dance vibe.
It really does, and I don't know if that's Scarlett singing in the background.
They had a guest... I couldn't decide who's singing on which tracks. I don't know if Scarlett sings on any of them, but they did have Adria Amenti doing guest vocals on the album.
Oh, that's right. I saw that in the liner notes on Bandcamp, but I wasn't sure which tracks she was on.
I'm not sure either.
It reminds me, just this intro alone, just sent chills down my spine, and it reminded me of, like, old Faith in the Muse, you know, like Cantus or something. Like, oh my gosh, something epic is starting, and I could picture somebody with, like, those huge, like, percussive drums with the big cotton balls on them, and they're like, oh, you know. And then it gets right into it, and Son of the Serpent starts, and
what a start too! Like, that was just
kicked me in my ass.
Yeah.
And not only that, not only is it amazing and perfect, and it's better than Sisters of Mercy, then, you know, you hear the rest of the album, every song is just as good. Every song is just as memorable. It is an instant classic.
It is goth with a capital G.
Oh my God, yes. And a K!
And a K?
Yeah!
I did feel like the album had some mixing problems, though. Like, I had to turn track 2 up because it was mixed so quietly, and then when track 3 started in, it was so fucking loud.
I remember that. I do remember a song where it was like, how did this get so loud?
That's 2 into 3. And
oh, okay.
That, like, and I did feel in some places it was mixed a little high, but this is, you know, all reclaimed. Like, I can forgive that. I'm not going to complain. And I kind of, okay, I have to admit, I really wish there's a track in the middle, Queen of, fuck. I should have written it down. My bad. Do you have the track listing?
I can get it.
Please.
Is it just a,
There was an instrumental track right smack in the middle of the album.
You don't like it?
I liked the track, but it went back to that Middle Eastern vibe, which I didn't really hear throughout the first half of the album, so it kind of felt like a dead stop in the middle of the album.
I felt like it was a break, like an intermission.
Like an intermission. And it was in a sense, but it did kind of catch me off guard the first time I listened through the album. Because I didn't expect it to be there. Like, I felt like, I don't know.
I didn't really notice that. I didn't even notice. Like, for me, almost all of the songs are so, like, energetic, dance heavy.
Energetic. Mm-hmm.
Like, I can just picture myself, like, wearing, like, tons of frills and just dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing. And then you have this break. And you can take a break and you're just like...
And you can breathe. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I can't get this thing up. It's not coming up.
Yeah. But I kind of felt like they... I don't know, there was something different about the quality of this album, too, compared to previous Angels of Liberty releases.
I liked the way that it was actually... the vocals were mixed down into the mix a little bit more.
And it felt more open and less like the looming vocals just, like, driving you, like, down a little bit.
That was one thing that bothered me with previous releases.
See, I really enjoyed that on, like, releases like Touch the Daemon and Anesthesia.
Yeah, like Telepathy, and the whole album was like that. Just the lyrics were just sitting on top of it. And while they're great, like, you know, they're so echoey and they're so reverby that they could have been scaled back and you would have still heard it and you could hear all the other instruments as well.
Right. And that's something. Okay, so when I think of, like, goth rock, like core goth rock, I think of that claustrophobic feeling, whether it's the bass causing it or the guitar or the vocals. So, like, I was really, you know, just surprised that I didn't feel that same claustrophobia from the vocals on this track. And I felt like you could feel the synths threading through the album a lot stronger than on previous releases, which I really enjoyed.
I enjoyed it as well. So I did want to mention, it wasn't just Son of the Serpent. Alpha Draconis,
Fabulous.
Venus Aeon,
Fabulous.
Inanna. Like, these are
Fabulous.
all epic, amazing vampire dancing jams.
Especially The Last Vampire.
The Last Vampire. But before that, before The Last Vampire, was Josephine. And it's... Josephine did something to me when I was listening to it. Like, it really made me, like, reminisce about, like...
It really dragged you backwards in time.
It did drag me backwards in time, in the days of old goth when it wasn't crusty. And it made me miss something. And just the fact that Vo is gone and there's not going to be any more Angels of Liberty, like, it really did get me very emotional.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure it's goth that's crusty and not you?
I'm not crusty!
Okay. No, I
and then
know
it goes
exactly
right
what
into
you
The
mean.
Last Vampire, and my spirits are lifted again, but I just wasn't
It was
the
such
same.
a cheesy song, and I fucking loved it.
It was, and they had to put that cheesy song after the seriousness of Josephine.
Yeah.
And then as it went through the end of it, I was just like all teary-eyed. Golden Years. I mean, come on, it's called Golden Years. It's all like retro gothic and everything.
The Golden Years was... That was the perfect way to end the album. That was the perfect way to end Angels of Liberty. I was listening to that track, and I didn't even have to be told that it was the last track. It had such a finality.
It did.
Like, perfect finality to it. It was...
Yeah.
It was really great.
Yeah, so it's very bittersweet, this whole album.
Mm-hmm. You know what track I also really loved?
You loved Haunted.
Haunted. How did you know?
Because I know you.
Shut up. I really loved Haunted. Oh.
I loved Haunted as well, but I didn't write my notes and I don't remember why.
Because it's spooky.
Spooky. Like, it does make me want to go to Disney World now and go in the Haunted Mansion and just take a little boombox and, like, blast Angels of Liberty really loud.
I have a little Bluetooth boombox.
Can we just bust into Disney and just play it in the Haunted Mansion while they're going?
Why don't we go hang out in the dog park and do that and just stand there in the middle of the dog park with our music
too bright.
and not say anything?
We need a dark, spooky
They
place.
already stare at us.
We should just go climb trees and, like,
pretend we're rogue.
Fucking rogue.
I love that he climbs that shit.
He brings his own ladders.
See, this album just makes us so nostalgic for our time in the scene. Look at it. Yeah.
But
I'm still sad.
if there are any babies who are getting into it, this is the... Oops, sorry. This is the most... good cliche goth album. That sounds terrible. There's got to be a better way to say that.
Campy.
Campy goth.
Campy.
Campy cheesy goth. No, it's not cheesy.
Campy.
Campy. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to stop talking.
Well, that's something I always say is that goth must have camp.
It is very campy.
Otherwise, it takes itself too seriously.
It's
and
vampy
you just
campy.
get a bunch of
vampy campy wonderful.
Vampy campy wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what a great album to end the episode off on. Go check it out, really, and
Let us know what are your favorite tracks.
yeah, I love talking to people in the comments about the albums. I learned so much stuff from you people. It's awesome. I love it. But thanks for watching this week. We're gonna give shout outs to our wonderful patrons who make the episodes possible. So, thank you, Beth Razoff.
Thank you, Skullgirdle.
Thank you, Cadaver Kelly.
Thank you, David Zoeser.
Thank you, Acid Bitter.
Thank you, Mason Shiver.
Thank you, Junkyard Bat.
Thank you, Dia Siculus.
Thank you, Max Shrek.
Oh, fuck. I wanted to get that out this time. Thank you, Libby.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, The Count.
Thank you, Demetria.
Thank you, Dreaming Noctis.
Did we say Diasiculus?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Skullgirdle.
Thank you, Acid Bitter.
We
already did.
We just want to thank everybody.
We already did
multiple times.
Skullgirdle.
It don't matter.
We try to do this from memory, so if you get named 2-3 times,
yeah,
what
and
you
it's
gonna do?
getting to the point where
Contact us for a refund.
Contact. Don't tell them that. All right, well, check out the rest of this week's videos. Our news update should have gone up on Sunday, so it should have gone up before this video. And stick around for our music video react later this week. And we'll see you there. In the meantime, check out our website, our other social media, Facebook. We post a lot on Facebook. And just come talk to us and hang out because we love you. Bye.
Bye.